Okay, I think we're good. Think we're good. Okay, so what's up, guys? It's October, and I'm back with my buddy Void for another versus battle.
Hey,
So it was... All right, so today we're gonna be talking about Momoshiki versus Delta. Okay, because apparently that's a thing and it needs to be talked about. So we're gonna go ahead start off just talking about Momoshiki, and yeah, we're just gonna go based off of that, starting for right now. So starting with Momoshiki, right? So Momoshiki in base fighting, starts getting his ass whooped, and then he has to consume Kinshiki to turn into Fuse Momoshiki, right? This Fuse Momoshiki throws hands with, what is it, like 50% Naruto, or like a weakened Naruto in the manga. It doesn't really specify how weak he is or whatever.
yeah, if we were to use anime, it is specified half, but on the manga, it's just kind of implied that they've been they've just been nerfing him for a long time. So it's just vague how nerfed he is, but we know he is nerfed to some extent.
Yeah, so Fuse Momo is swapping hands with nerfed base Naruto. No Sage 6 pads, no clones, nothing at all, just hand to hand combat. And Momo's low key, like, he's holding his own, I guess. Like, pretty solid. And then, Sasuke jumps into that fight, right? And they kind of double team Momoshiki. So the way I kind of look at that is like it took both Naruto and Sasuke to fight Momoshiki. But looking back on the chapter, pretty much, Sasuke did, like, I don't want to say he didn't do that much, but the majority of the fighting was between Naruto and Momoshiki. So,
Yeah,
um,
some people try to bring up the fact that Momoshiki was going to ultimately win if it wasn't for Boruto's help, but they forget that he was actually going to lose if it wasn't for the scientist doing that stupid thing of throwing at
yeah,
jutsus at him.
yeah, he throws some jutsu at him and he absorbs it, and then I think it was the shadow paralysis jutsu or something like that. And then Momoshiki is able to use it against them, and then also regain chakra from that. So that just ended up making him stronger. Also, throughout the fight, he's like getting his ass whooped and has to take chakra pills or whatever he's taking to keep amping himself. That's when he gets like the golem and he can shoot like the ground snakes or dragons or whatever you want to call them. But yeah, he continuously amps himself throughout the fight to get stronger. So I mean, I don't know what you want. Like he fight goes up against a big Rasengan with his own version of like a big energy chakra ball, and the Rasengan gets. I mean, it claps that shit, even though Boruto was the one that was throwing it. But we all know that most of the chakra comes from Naruto in that attack. So
Yeah. Also, some people try to say that Momoshiki was holding back to some extent against that base Naruto, but this wouldn't even make any sense since he did think the situation was dire enough for him to consume his own brethren. He's only shown to look down upon human lives, not other Otsutsukis. So for him to go to the extent of absorbing Urashiki is because he recognizes Kinshiki. I mean, is because he recognizes that there is a big danger. So it doesn't make any sense for him to hold back.
yeah, and even when he's fighting Naruto in base, the second he goes into like Sage's Spaz mode or whatever, he's on the panel. It's he looks super surprised that that's even happening, and then immediately after that, Naruto like elbows him right to the face, and then kicks him, sends him flying and shit. That's when he does this whole what's it? It's a Nukai. I don't know. I'm gonna butcher that shit, but yeah, some snake thing, dragon shit in
Yeah.
his hair.
So basically, all of this is just to set the fact that Momoshiki should be relative to a weakened Naruto in terms of speed and physical
And
strength.
hand to hand combat as well. Just they're not on the same level whatsoever in terms of taijutsu. Now, I mean, Momoshiki does have the ability to absorb and shoot back ninjutsu with his renegades and shit. So, but Delta doesn't really have any ninjutsu like that. So I guess we'll go ahead and jump into Delta's scaling and feats against Naruto, since they both fight the same person essentially. So you want to go ahead and take the lead on that one, bro?
Yeah, sure. So I guess we could start talking about that Delta's abilities, since it's some of the things that are the mostly overlooked on her, which is understandable since her physical abilities is the most impressive things about her. But basically, one of her strongest skills is the lasers she shoots from her eyes, which negate regeneration. So if you get hit with that and hurt by that, you will eventually just die.
Well, I mean, you won't die, but like Kawaki loses his arm, so yeah, he has to get a replacement. But yeah, I mean, like it's a scientific ninja tool arm, so we don't really know if he'll die, but you definitely are not getting whatever he gets hit repaired.
Yeah, you would need to either get help fast, or because if you spend too much time in the battle, you'll just die from blood loss because
Yeah,
it will
exactly.
just not regenerate. So that's one. She can also fly. Many people just act like, Momoshiki can just fly and do whatever you want, charge his strongest attack in the air. But Delta can fly. She has shown the ability to fly.
She
can
has
also
like that. She has that like transfiguration of like her body, where she can turn her body into like a weapon. She stabs Naruto a bunch of times with it in the very beginning of the fight. So was that what you were going to bring up?
Yeah, those are the most notable abilities that she has.
She can also absorb ninjutsu and fire it back to the user. Also,
yeah, to some extent, it's a limited absorption, but she can in fact absorb and shoot back ninjutsu. And now I guess we talk about the most impressive thing about Delta, which is the stats, right? Her speed and their strength and their hand-to-hand combat ability. So this is just a very known argument, but Delta scales to Sage of Six Paths Naruto, who is fully rested. He's not nerfed at all. And she actually goes very relative to him, exchanging blows with him in multiple different panels. They both hurt each other, so that shows a very big level of relativity between both of them.
And also, like, I wanted to address the whole Naruto's holding back thing. Let's just address the elephant in the room, right? So, like, so in the beginning, Naruto is trying to pretty much catch Delta off guard by acting like if he's hurt by like her transfiguration of her body, essentially. And she says, "Why expend so much effort on a stranger who's only going to bring you trouble to your door?" Talking about Kawaki. Naruto continues to scream. She like steps on him and stuff, and then she goes, "You're a horrible actor. I'm not buying it." And then he goes, "Damn, she saw through it." He immediately heals, and then he says, "I suppose I misunderstand you. I'm sorry that I said I'd kill you. I take it back." Wait, hold on. He says, "I was hoping that if I seemed weakened, you might drop your guard and spill a bunch of intel, but no luck." So that's why he was holding back, quote unquote, in the beginning. Like, he was holding back, trying to get more information on Kara. Then immediately, 2 pages later, he says, "I will be going all out now too," and like turns all Sage of Six Paths, chakra flowing over him, all that shit. So
yeah.
yeah.
There's some people who think that this whole thing was sarcastic because he says, who I'm scared before. But the thing is, this isn't even the only time where it's implied that Naruto is in fact going all out. It's both implied in statements from different characters and even in things like feats and what would make the most sense. So, as one example, Naruto sees Delta getting ready to attack Boruto. She trash talks his jutsu, looks at him, jumps at him, and Naruto doesn't do anything about it. This would make sense, since if they were relative, this would make sense, since he was on his ass on the ground. Obviously, he can't get back up before she does this movement. However, if he was holding back, this doesn't make any sense. Are you talking about Naruto wouldn't try to save his son from getting his shit rocked?
I mean, even with the beams too with Delta, like um Naruto was caught off guard. He wasn't ready for the beams. Being caught off guard does not mean that you're not going all out. It just means that you didn't know something was about to happen and you didn't prepare for it, and thus it caught you off guard. It doesn't mean that you were holding back. So that's just another thing I wanted to clear up, okay? Because I heard that and I just wanted to, debunk that a little bit.
Yeah,
But
there's so many things for us to clear up because people have been in denial about this for so long that so many bad arguments have been made.
yeah, we're not trying to glaze Delta. We're honestly just trying to like separate a lot of the like misconceptions from like the truth. So, do you want to talk about the panel at the end where? Because I mean, I have my own theory on it, but I wanted to know what you think. At the end, where he says, "I'm gonna bring her back in with me so I can question her. Although simply finishing her off would be probably the easiest thing for everyone." But I went to all that trouble to keep her alive so we could capture her. That's the statement they used to make people believe that Naruto's holding back against Delta so that he could keep her alive. So I want to hear what you have to say about that, and then I'll give my spiel on it, what I think. So
Yeah, in new power scalers, many people just do this mistake where they think not trying to kill an opponent equals holding back strength-wise, but this is just not true. I can even show an example in real-world things that happen where this just isn't true. When two people get into a boxing ring, they're not trying to murder each other, but does that mean that Mike Tyson wasn't punching with all his strength? Well, no, clearly he was punching with all his strength, he just wasn't trying to kill the guy, he was just trying to defeat the guy. So, trying to not kill Delta, that just means that Naruto wasn't trying to, like, rip her heart out or something, but he was still punching as hard as he can, and he could still be kicking as hard as he can. This doesn't really debunk anything.
I mean, yeah, like I agree with that, and then also you could argue that having to keep in the back of his mind like his kids and trying to keep the fight away from them and making sure that Delta's not going to try what she did end up doing anyway, that would take even more time and effort to make sure that you're able to be on the defensive of not getting hit by anti-regen beams while watching your kids in case Delta tries to do what she did. So like, I feel like that's even harder to calculate because now you have like essentially hostages that you have to take into consideration while you're doing this fight versus if it was just them in the forest alone. So it just makes the fight even more difficult because Naruto doesn't have to just worry about himself. He has to worry about other people as well.
Yeah, so the fact that he has lives depending on him, and to try to imply that he would just be a little jester, just a little trickster playing mind games this whole time, just doesn't really make sense, even for Naruto's character. Even when Delta almost killed like both of his kids, we see him getting mad, which is in character. So to believe he would still hold back, even after his kids almost died, is just kind of funny.
Well, also like in Boruto, Naruto hasn't been a jester. Like he hasn't had the time. Like obviously he's had his Hokage duties that bother him. Can't even be home. He in no fight that we've seen him participate in does he try any tricky, sneaky like gestury tactics. No sexy jutsu against Jigen or Ishiki like that. Momoshiki, none of that shit happened. So like. It's not in character. Why would he randomly do that against Delta? That doesn't make any sense. It's not narrative. It doesn't fit the narrative in Boruto with Naruto now as an adult, not some teenager or some kid who would use some sort of tactic like that. Not plus, he doesn't need to use a tactic like that. He's way stronger now. He's had how many years of training? Like 13 years of training, something maybe even long, like more like. He doesn't need to rely on sexy jutsu to beat a fucking anyone at this point. So it's just that whole part of his arc is over with. It's done with.
Yeah, exactly. And even then, people just see him using sexy jutsu against Kaguya, and I don't know. Do they assume Naruto wasn't going all out against Kaguya? Clearly, he uses his jutsu because he thinks it's gonna work, not because he thinks it's funny. They were almost dying. That's what works, not what is funny. He's not Luffy.
Well, so pretty much all of this to say is that I mean I think me and Void both agree that Delta beats Fuse Momoshiki. It would probably be like mid to high diff. Like honestly, it would be mid to high diff. Delta has the anti regen. She's got better hands than Momoshiki does. I just feel like, ironically, Momoshiki is the more tricky, lazy, try to find the fastest route to victory type of person. So, I don't know. I feel like it'd be like a high diff, give or take, depending. I mean, she doesn't have any jutsu that he can absorb really, and we only see a few jutsu out of him. So, I mean, there's not really that much to go based off of in terms of like what he's able to do.
One thing I could imagine happen, which would be pretty funny, is if Momoshiki even tried to absorb Delta's lasers, he would just lose his Rinnegan because he needs to point his Rinnegan to the jutsu, or usually he does it. He points his Rinnegan to the jutsu to absorb it. So imagine he just points it to the laser. The laser just hits his Rinnegan, and that's it's gone. It's not going to regenerate.
And with his arrogance, that's kind of been character for him to just do without asking any questions or trying to figure out anything at all. He was just trying to do that, honestly. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think there are win cons. I mean, he could overpower Delta with energy like how Naruto did. But I mean, I don't know if he has the same amount of energy output as Naruto. But that's a whole other topic.
Also, a problem is he doesn't just like shoot that, like you click in the trigger and the bullet just leaves your gun. You know, he needs to prepare. We always see it that it takes some time for him to cast that jutsu or that energy ball, which Delta just wouldn't give him if it was in character. Delta would just walk up to him and beat him up before he gets to just do a giant energy ball.
Yeah, she would immediately go on the attack. And so I think Momoshiki would be on the defensive most of the fight. But I still think it would be mid to high diff. But yeah, so I mean Delta pretty much wins that. I don't think we need to debunk anything else. I think we covered pretty much everything. So yeah, I think we're gonna leave it with that. Void, you got any last word you wanna throw out there?
Yes. If you have any new arguments to make for Momoshiki, you can always click in the link in the description for the Discord server that October has.
New Discord it's not private. Anyone can join us. So yeah, I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, we can definitely have a conversation about it.
Judges, impartial judges, don't worry about it. We won't get our people to judge, I swear. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. So thanks guys, leave us. I appreciate it.